Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Americana legend Mary Chapin Carpenter performs live at Wolf Trap in Vienna, Virginia on Saturday night. We spoke in 2020 about her pandemic livestream concert from Wolf Trap, breaking down her country hits like I Feel Lucky, Passionate Kisses, and Down at the Twist and Shout, which was inspired by cutting her teeth on the DC music scene.
It's nice to speak with you, Jason. Thank you.
Been a crazy year with artists really haven't been able to tour hardly at all. How did this thing come about to do it at Wolf Trap, stand on stage alone with no crowd and stream it everywhere?
Well, I think you've probably seen other artists doing live streams and creating concert content, if you will, and posting it. And so I had started doing like one song a week, posting it to social media, and after, now it's been almost 50 episodes of doing that since March. The idea of doing a full concert, more than just one song at a time, was pretty appealing. And Wolf Trap being sort of my hometown stage, if you will, they were absolutely fantastic when we reached out to them to see if it would be something that we could do there. And so it means a lot to me after all these years of playing Wolf Trap every summer, or nearly every summer, to be on that stage. And doing it actually the weekend of Thanksgiving, it felt like a way to just kind of feel a little closer to everybody.
Yeah, I love the idea. Yes, it'll be a nice way.
Yeah.
The holidays will be here. What are we going to hear? Is it going to be any holiday tunes, or your greatest hits, or a mix of both, or what do we got?
Well, I have writing the set list is probably the one of the hardest parts of it, just because I've got a few albums to pull from, and so I just decided to start from the first record and pull from that, and then go all the way to the most recent record, which came out in August. So it's really everything from the first time I started recording to the most recent recording.
Awesome. And then, as you mentioned, you have DC, roots and ties here. Remind our listeners how that happened. I know you were born in New Jersey, you lived in Japan briefly, but what age were you when you moved to DC, and, where in the city did you live?
I was 15 years old when my family arrived in DC. And I have lived, I've said this, I've lived all around the Beltway. Or made my way around the Beltway over the years, and it's just been my home ever since I was a teenager. So it really is my hometown in that regard.
Awesome. Is it true that you did some open mic nights over in Cleveland Park?
Oh yeah, there used to be a bar on Connecticut Avenue called Gallagher's Pub, and that was the first. I think it's now called Nanny O'Brien's, but that was the first place I ever got a job playing music, and that was the first place I ever went to an open mic on Sunday nights, and it was really a great way to meet other musicians and to sort of work out the kinks of a song. And one night, I don't know, I just got brave, and I asked the owner if they would give me a job playing during the week, and she said yes, thankfully, to me. And so that was the first place I ever got a job playing music.
That's so cool. Yeah, our radio station's actually located right around that general area.
That's right.
Yep. Well, we just moved up to Friendship Heights like a year or two ago, but yeah, it's all in the general same area.
Not too far away. Yeah.
Yeah. See, your music's still echoing around there, I'm sure. Well, fill the gap in for me then of how you're playing open mic nights in Cleveland Park area. How then do you get Nashville's attention, or did you move there, or how did that whole record deal come about the first time?
Well, it's far too complicated actually for the time that we have to talk, but just very briefly, I played a bunch of different bars and clubs for a couple of years, and then I was opening shows at the wonderful Birchmere in Alexandria. And long story short, somebody from Sony Music in Nashville was chatting with the owner of the Birchmere, and he mentioned my name, and the next thing I know, they were asking for a tape. And then after that, the next thing that happened was they gave me a record deal. And I was about as shocked as a person could be. So, and I had never been to Nashville. I didn't know Nashville, if it hit me on the head. So, I mean, after all these years, it's country music takes many shapes and forms and personalities. And I've always, been grateful for the opportunities that I got, in sort of the commercial country music world. And that has just been the great gift of my life. And I'm so glad I still get to play music, and I intend to when this is all over as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of us, myself included, we grew up on your music. How do you, I want to go into some of the big ones I remember, at least briefly. How did Down at the Twist and Shout come to you? Did you write that one?
I did, yes. I don't know if you recall, but there was, at a time, in Bethesda, there was the Twist and Shout Club. And what it was the VFW hall that a local promoter would rent out on the weekends. And he would put local roots rock bands and, rock and roll and Cajun bands and people who were coming through DC. He'd put them in there. And it was the kind of thing where you could go in and pay a couple of bucks and get your hand stamped like it was your high school cafeteria where you'd go for a dance or something. But you would open the Washington Post weekend section, and there would be a little, ad for the Twist and Shout Club. And I remember going to see the great seminal Cajun band Beau Soleil there one weekend. And that's where the song came from.
Wow. Listening to it all these years, I had no idea it ties to Bethesda. That's wild.
Absolutely. Yep.
That made my day. All right.
Great.
Well, and then, so I know that was your third album, and you were a household name at that point. That album, I think, is the one that really blew up. But then your fourth one, you just kept getting bigger. How did I Feel Lucky come about? What inspired that one?
Well, that was a song I co-wrote with my pal Don Schlitz, and we were just sitting around one day, hanging out and playing music and trying to write songs, seriously. And I don't know, that song is the one we came out with that day. And I mean, to this day, I can't believe that it has led me to so many different places. But yeah, it was just something we wrote for fun, and it ended up being a commercial success.
I love it. All right, one more. Passionate Kisses. What inspired that one? That was, I feel like there were a lot of sort of those country songs that could have almost crossed over into pop that happened after that, but I think you kind of were, on the edge there with that.
Well, Jason, that song was written by the great Lucinda Williams, and I was on tour with her in Australia many years ago, and that record was one of my favorite records of hers, and she'd play that song every night, and every night I would play along with her and sing harmonies and tell her how much I loved the song. And one night, I think she just got tired of hearing it. She said, well, why don't you just record that song? And so I said, okay, I will. And that's how it happened. And, I think genre, wise, it doesn't really matter if you think of country or now. I think nowadays Americana would probably be the most accurate way of describing her music and my own, and in terms of what's out there now. But it doesn't really matter what genre something springs from. If you connect to it, you connect to it. And to me, Passionate Kiss is when I play it on tour, for those 3.5 or so minutes that I get to, as I say, inhabit that song. It's just a powerful, powerful anthem. And I'm so grateful that Lucinda gave me her blessing to record it.
That's so great. Yeah, all three of those songs we just mentioned, you won Grammys for Best Female Country Vocal Performance, and then I think you won it again a fourth year in a row for Shut Up and Kiss Me. So when you're sitting there at the Grammys on the fourth year in a row and they call your name again, just tell me, what runs through your mind? Are you like, man, I'm on a roll here?
I'll tell you, I think probably what ran through my mind was, are they serious? It's just, it was truly, an honor to receive those awards. But as you can imagine, I don't think anybody starts out playing music or pursuing their passion with an eye towards winning prizes or awards. It's something that just you do it because you just feel like you have to. And it to me, I'm honored and grateful that those awards came my way and allowed me, the opportunities that it has. But in the end, it's really just about connecting with music and with people, and that's what keeps me going, at least for myself.
Awesome, for sure. Well, we can't wait to check out the event.
I believe you can buy a ticket at the Wolf Trap website, but you can also do that through my website too, MaryChapinCarpenter.com.
All right, cool. Well, we look forward to it.
Thank you, Jason. I hope you stay well and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.